if I do slip in with a cuss word here or there, I might not. If I don't catch myself, let me know, and then I'll start over again.
Okay, yeah, we do try to keep it
I usually don't,
family friendly.
I try not to.
We keep it family friendly for the algorithm more than anything else, but we are still a family show.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know. I might slip in. I don't know if
no worries. How many
of my
no
videos
worries.
you've seen, any of my uploads, but sometimes I'll just start rambling and I'll just start talking and I'll miss I even say something.
I'm familiar with your top 10s. I wasn't even aware you had a YouTube channel, if I'm honest. So I just subscribed to you, actually.
Good. Hey, it's one of those, I honestly, like with the whole YouTube thing, I just kind of said, all right, I'm going to start opening these things. Why not just record me opening them and just ramble?
Some of our most popular videos have been us just rambling about cars.
Instead of, like, for me personally,
keep it natural.
Just trying to edit stuff, I'd rather just keep it going. Like, because in a sense, I can't reopen a car, so I'll just keep going with it.
So we'll say Derek, aka Dumas RLC, as you guys all know him. Okay. Is it okay?
Calbert, right?
Is it okay to?
Calbert, the last name?
No, Albert.
Albert. Okay.
C's my middle initial.
Derek C. Albert.
Derek C. Albert. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Chuck will kind of do like an intro, and then he'll thank our patrons. He'll introduce me as the co-host, and then we'll get straight to the interview from there.
Okay.
Alrighty. All set here in... Excuse me. I was just trying to put my son to bed. He's 1.5, and it's been a trying day.
Oh, yeah, I remember. I remember those years.
Alright. In 3, 2.
You're watching Diecast Breakdown with Chuck Ellis, David Johns, and Mark McHotwheel. So sit back, strap in, and hang on. The breakdown starts now.
Hey there, folks. Chuck here, and welcome to Diecast Breakdown. I am so excited you're here with us today. We are going to be breaking down the latest and greatest in diecast, collecting, customizing, and culture. But before we do that, I want to thank our patrons that make the show go. That would be, of course, Pia over at Mad Visions, Mr. David Johns over at Twice Diecast. Thank you, David. Good friend Mark over at drivendreams.org. Christian at First and 64th Customs. Video Geek Productions. Thank you, Adam. And, of course, our honorary executive producer level patrons. That would be Mr. Dane Self and Mike over at Mike's Mods and Customs. Thank you, gentlemen. It is with no small amount of humility that we are grateful to the people that contribute every month to help pay for things and keep the lights on over here. Thank you so much for making the show go, for buying the merch when you stop by the merch store. All of that helps. And you look stylish while doing it too, so you can't beat that. So if you can't do that, that's fine. Just remember to like, subscribe, share, ring the bell, all that good stuff. All that really helps grow the channel, and that helps us out so very much. So without any further ado, I am not going to be talking alone today. I am joined by my co-host, Mr. David Johns. David, how the heck are you today?
I'm great, Chuck. I am excited about this one. We got an OG in the house tonight. I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, indeed. I'm sure many of you know him, love his articles, have seen him online or seen him at shows. Dumas RLC is the name that many of us know him by. We call him Derek. Derek, thank you so much for being on the show today. We're really looking forward to talking with you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, so let's go way back to the beginning. What is it about tiny cars that spoke to you enough to lead you down this path?
Probably like most of us. I mean, I had piles of these things when I was a kid. And it just kind of grew into a thing where I got to a point where I would see a car sitting on the pegs as like a 10-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, hey, I really like that. I want it. I don't want to ruin it. Like all my cars after crashing all over the floor. So I just kind of started there as far as the serious collecting, as some might put it. And it just And that was back in 1995. So almost 30 years now I've been just collecting.
Was there any one car in particular that was a favorite of your collection when you were getting started?
When I initially started, I would say probably the car that kind of made me want to start kind of being a serious collector, it was I would have grabbed it. It's just kind of buried in one of my many jammer cases.
It's all good.
It was the Range Rover from the 96 Heat Fleet series. It's red with gold and purple flames on it. That was kind of that first one that made me just want to keep all my cars nice going forward.
Yeah.
And that one just always stuck out for me. I don't know why, it just really stuck out, and it's always been a favorite of mine ever since for the last 30 years.
Yeah, I get that. My first one, I don't think I've ever said this on the show, actually, but it was the Purple Passion. Larry Wood designed 49 Merc, sort of, not quite. Even though, as Larry pointed out when he was on, it did not go down the track and it did not do the loop, but I just thought it looked so good, and that color with the purple and the yellow looked so good, and it had that weird low spoiler thing hanging off the back. And I know what you mean, because I chipped it on that lower spoiler in the back, and it almost completely ruined the car for me. Like I would display it, but I'd kind of turn it to make sure that nobody could see that little chip on the back. And I still have it, and it still has just that one little chip on the back.
Was it the one with the flames or the scallops?
It was which one was I think it was the flames, because the flames were first, right? Yeah.
Scallops was actually. Scallops was the first one. The flames came a little later, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, the first time I saw it, it was with the flames. So, but yeah.
Yeah, that was the first one I had of the Purple Passion too. So.
Yeah, I remember I actually bought it at Downtown Disney. There was a store in Downtown Disney Village. I think it was called Downtown Disney, and then now it's called Disney Springs. I'm so old. I remember back when it was called Disney Village. But they had a store that sold Mattel stuff, and it had this huge wall of Hot Wheels. And I saw that one, and it just really stood out to me. But that's really cool. I like the Range Rover one a lot. David, was there one for you that really sparked one particular? Because I know you always have had cars with you.
You're gonna think that I made this up, Chuck, but so full disclosure, Dumas, my dad gave me his 95 Corvette, but when I was older. But going back, as I think about it, my favorite car was the 80s Vet with the opening hood. It had the gold Hot Ones wheels on it, had a little duffel bag in the back. I guess it was
the duffel bag.
Fancy dude going to play tennis or whatever. But I guess I've always been a Corvette guy. I didn't even realize that until I told that story just a second ago. So yeah, that's mine.
Big secrets getting unveiled on the show today. So
we're digging deep.
So you start collecting them. You're starting to keep them nice rather than just smashing them up on the track like all the other 10-year-olds out there. What led you to start actually writing and contributing about them? Because that's a whole other step.
Yeah. I guess I'll just kind of go for it. So eventually, when I finally got onto the RLC forums back in 2009, and I joined the forums to 2011, I became our actual RLC member. But I just kind of got on the forums, and a lot of the discussions, I would just start spouting off a lot of information, and people were like, "Dude, you're new. How do you know all this?" I'm like, I've been collecting for at this point, 14 years now. I just stuff it just went into my head, and it just never left over time. I love Tomart's Guide was my Bible for a while, and so I just had the knowledge there. And then at the time, Lamley and John he was all over the forums. At the time, he was a big wheel the rare wheel variations. He was really big collector of things like that. Like as an example, the blue 69 Charger with flames and the Faster Than Ever wheels. That was one car he was extremely proud of having back at the time. And over through the forums, he and I would just start talking left and right, and we talked a lot even outside the forums and stuff. And eventually, after he had started the blog in 2012 or 2013, I can't remember what year. I didn't join that initially. It's just over time, after he started adding people on, basically he finally convinced me to join on with them. And I was like, all right, yeah, why not? And then so it just that's kind of how it snowballed into it. And I don't write as much as I would like to lately, but yeah, a lot of it was just the knowledge I had, and just was able to spout off like that. He liked having that, at least from the Hot Wheels side, liked having that aspect of it.
We'll be back with more Diecast Breakdown after this word from our sponsors. Legendary Hollywood concept artist and designer Fireball Tim Lawrence has created 3 exclusive pieces of automotive art based on the 3 hosts of Diecast Breakdown. Get these and other brilliant designs printed on mugs and more at fireballtimgarage.art today. Here's this week's small channel shout-out.
Dumas RLC.
If you have a favorite Diecast channel with less than 700 subscribers and you'd like to see them highlighted on a future episode, email us at diecastbreakdown@gmail.com. And now back to Diecast Breakdown.
I'm not sure a lot of people take advantage of the resource that the RLC forums are. This is a
They're not
really
wrong,
cool,
especially now.
yeah, this is a really cool place where you can get in touch and access to hardcore fans that know what they're talking about, collectors like yourself, and occasionally you'll get people from Hot Wheels pop in there, and who knows, it's not crazy to say that you might see previews of stuff that nobody else sees. It is really a cool place to just piddle around as much time as you want to. You could get lost and go down rabbit holes, I'm sure. But a lot of people that might be watching this probably know your name from those forums from back in the day. Would that?
Oh, yeah. I know I see a lot of people, like, even on Reddit, I'll post on there, and they're like, wait a minute, I know that name from the forums.
Exactly.
Or they see it elsewhere. So unfortunately, the biggest thing that kind of stinks is that with how many different iterations of the forum, like the forum software they've had over the years, there's been a lot of information that just kind of disappeared over time because obviously there was no backups. And those are one of those things, like, I regret not saving myself before. Like, I knew, like, when I knew the change was coming, for some reason I never went in. Like, some guys might know, especially the guys that are older guys from the forums, they would know the name Agent Air. He had a big database section. Like, he had, like, that covered everything. He even covered the India Leo cars.
Yep.
That was a big list. I wish I saved that. like all that info is gone, and it's just. But there's still a lot of the old school guys that are on there, and it's like just we just go into, like, why, like, because there's a lot of questions about it, especially from newer collectors. Like, why is the Neo wheel, like the Neoclassics wheel, why is that such a big? Why is the older crowd, why are they so into it? And then, like, we go, like, a lot of us will go into the explanation. It's like, this is why. It's a pure nostalgia thing for a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
And even compared, like me, like, I'm not even 40, but, like, I didn't grow up with, like, the original red lines. I grew up in the Blackwall era.
Sure.
But I still had, like, a love for the old red lines like that, and the Neoclassic was just kind of a resurrection, at least in looks, for it. So I always had a nostalgia for it, but, like, a lot of the older collectors that are on there, it's like just there's a vast knowledge there.
Yep.
Sometimes you can't find elsewhere.
You can't underestimate a place like a repository for knowledge. And when that's gone, it really is a shame. And I don't know if you have heard of HobbyDB, but we had Christian on not too long ago, and that seems like it's right in line with what you're saying. That's his mission, is archiving all of this really good information. But the forums still really are pretty cool, even now, even if they are a different version than what they used to be. It's fun to get in there and interact with some Mattel folks, and I've always had a good experience. RLC has gotten some pub lately that some people are a little frustrated at it, but it's still a pretty cool idea in general, right?
Yeah, definitely. And like you were saying, like, some of the stuff with, like, the previews with, like, some of the actual employees on there. You got Steve Vandervey, he pops in, and Brendan Vituski. They're the two main guys that will pop on, like, kind of give us sneak previews and stuff like that. The two of them have a huge passion for the hobby, especially Brendan.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
I remember the video you guys had with him a while back.
Yeah,
I mean, like, trust me, like, I've met him in person, and, like, outside of, I actually had a chance meeting with him outside of, like, a convention. It was just like a chance meeting that I met up with him, and he's got a huge passion for the hobby, and like,
Oh, yeah.
like, trust me when I say, when we see the issues and we have the issues as the customers, believe me, as the designers, the guys working on it, they have just as much frustrations as we do.
You don't have to tell us, do you, Chuck?
Nope. I
Chuck knows all about Brendan's passion.
I created a small riot with Brendan in the autograph line at the Hot Wheels Collector Nationals this last year, because we just started talking and Brendan really got in a groove, and it was great. Like, he was giving me all of this stuff and I'm going, no, this keeps going, and I don't want to stop him because this is incredible. And I'm sitting here chatting with Brendan Vituski about the new 64 Dodge Power Wagon that's coming out. And then he goes from that, and I had my RLC Mangusta that I wanted him to sign because I knew he really liked that car, and it was one of those weird cars that wasn't really like a huge hit with a lot of people. So I'm sure not a lot of people talked to him about it. So then, of course, he wanted to point out to me how he had engineered the pins on the inside to keep the doors open when you opened it. And then, so I brought him that, and I brought him the card from my Herbie monster truck because I know he's a big Herbie guy. That's something that not a lot of people know about him, but he's a huge Herbie guy. And so that was like, oh, now we're talking about Herbie. And he's like, let me draw you a little Herbie on here. And David's back
like,
there
hey,
fending
like
off all the other
later.
people behind me. That it took a long time, but it was it was awesome.
Add in the fact that he was the one working on the monster truck line for a long time.
Oh yeah,
adds to
well,
it.
It was the perfect
that's how
storm.
Herbie ended up there, because who thinks of Herbie and goes monster truck? So yeah, he's a
or the Nissan Skyline.
Well, yeah, exactly, or the Back to the Future DeLorean. But I think that's why it's so good, is because you've got designers that not just like cars, but like the community and feed off that stuff. And you can tell Brendan, especially when you get him in front of a crowd or you get him talking to people about it, like he just eats it up. He just is like you're just like, this dude is living his absolute best life, doing his dream job. And so yeah, I think there's few things that I like more than seeing somebody who's really like, and it doesn't even matter what they're into, but if you see someone who's really into what they do and are really excited about it, it's just so invigorating. You get that really nice energy off it, and I get that from Brendan. So and there's a lot of
magnetism.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of, it's not just Brendan, a lot of the Hot Wheels designers, it's the same way. It was so awesome to see them go through and talk about all the little Easter eggs they hid in their cars when they're talking about the new designs. And one of them made a pastry box on the passenger seat for his mom, because his mom ran a bakery business. So it's just like those fun little things, like, of course, like the Ryu Porsche with the stethoscope and those kind of things.
Yeah.
So
that's a touching one too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that was a very, very special car from a very special designer. But so you're on the forums, you're contributing all the time. How does John Lambert tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hey, I want you to write for Lamley"?
It just kind of happened. Like he had been asking for a little while. I think I wasn't blowing him off. It was just like one of those things that's like, yeah, I think eventually I will. I just know stuff going on, and like life happens, and hey, things are a little easier. We can talk again. And I don't even remember when. I can't remember when it was. It was sometime during 2020, I think it was. He finally got me to break down and say, hey, blog. I'm like, okay, I will finally do this for you with you. And then what was my first article? I can't even remember what my first article was. I think it was for, actually, where's my case? First article I did was, if I can open my case here, probably what is my favorite Hot Wheels release of all time. This 57 Fury Pro Street from the Legends 4-car set. 57th anniversary or something like that. It was from 1997. Like, this casting is, just this release in general is probably easily one of my top 5 all-time favorite releases from Hot Wheels. And just the details they put on this thing, the opening hood,
loaded.
Funny enough, I actually have 3 of these from that set. I actually have 3 of them. But I think that was the first article I did. I think it was. I can't remember.
So yeah. So far, Derek, what we're hearing is we're hearing a lot of Hot Wheels, but anybody that goes to your channel will see you branch out. You're messing around with other brands. What are some of the other brands that you think are doing it right? And do you ever mess around with any like of the international brands? And full disclosure, I love those from overseas.
A little bit. Initially, like a lot of it, one thing I will definitely say, Mini GT, 64, those two brands, they are for the quality that it's coming out of those two brands, top notch quality. Like,
Yep.
absolutely, I love what they're doing. The only problem for me is they do a lot of the focus of the cars are just not anything that speaks to me. It's like a lot of like I'm a big muscle car guy. Always have been. Ever since I was a kid. My dad owned an 85 Mustang GT. We always went to car shows pointing out all the old 60s cars that he grew up with. So I just became a big muscle car guy. And if like Mini GT and like they started doing those, I would be all over it.
It'd be all over. Yep.
But otherwise, like I've definitely branched out. Like Johnny Lightning has always been another kind of a side one that I was always into, at least later into the 90s, early 2000s. And now that round two brought them back already 8 years ago now, I've been going back, picking up a lot of the stuff that from the resurrection, I guess you could say.
Right. Yeah.
M2 does a lot of stuff that I really like. Ideally, if we could get the quality a little bit, the finished quality a little bit better, it'd be great. Same thing for a lot of Greenlight. But I will say, at least with Greenlight, from what I've seen lately, it's definitely been a lot better than it has the last few years from the quality control. At least from
I would
what
agree
I've
with
seen.
that. Yeah.
Yep. And Chuck, we might have one of the first guests that has declared his love for the zingers from Johnny
Yes.
Lightning. A lot of people like them. We have not talked about them on the show yet, but Dumas, you have a lot of
one the
zingers in your
cases
collection.
I got
Look
it.
at
Yeah.
that.
What is it about those?
I have no idea. I honestly don't know. I think it's just the wackiness of them, especially like a lot of the newer ones from like giant. Round two is using the Auto World bodies. They're giving them a zinger chassis. I love that aspect of it. Like we've seen it with the square body truck, see it with Ford Squire wagon. They did it with the
There was the Caddy.
2011. Yep, the Cad. That's another one of my favorite ones. It's not in this case, so I didn't grab one.
It's all good.
I love that Eldorado.
Yeah,
I just love that Eldorado. But I really don't know why I love these things. I think it's just it speaks to the child in me, I guess.
No, we talk about on this show all the time about this being the best time to be a collector, and like there literally is diecast for whatever type of vehicle you like.
Oh,
Even if
definitely.
it's got less than four wheels, more than four wheels, treads, propellers. Diecast has never been better.
It's huge. It's really blown up. Like really in the last 4 or 5 years, it really exploded. And
so what do you attribute that to?
it's hard to say. I would think, I guess in a way, it's kind of the people that grew up with like the Fast and Furious movies and stuff like that. Maybe it was like them getting older and then seeing these little replica cars they really like, and people just really like, at least with newer collectors, they really like accurate, like the scale accurate vehicles. That's why I think that's why stuff like the brands like Tarmac and Mini GT, they've really exploded over the last few years as far in popularity.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
Now, you've kind of gotten known for is your top tens. And so I got to say, I am pleased with your top 10 choices from last year, especially the Tradesman and that Matchbox AMC Eagle.
Oh,
that Eagle was just like straight out of my childhood. I had a friend's
same.
mom. A friend's mom had one, and I always thought it was the coolest thing because it was like, what is it? Is it a Jeep? Is it a car? Is it an off-roader?
Basically that's my same mindset. Down the street from where I grew up, there was a couple down there. They had two of them, and I loved them. I just loved the look of them. It's like I always made my parents drive that way down the street when we would go somewhere so I could see them.
Yeah,
fair enough.
So
I love that Eagle.
Well, and the van, my parents were vanners back in the 70s, so we had a bunch of Dodge vans that were customized. But initially, I was brought home from the hospital with my car seat strapped to the floor of a custom van that was not unlike that one. It was metallic blue with white pinstriping and had the little porthole and whiskey barrels inside as tables. and a bed and shag carpeting. Yeah. He had AC/DC lighting in there, not the band, but actual lights that would run off the battery or off of a plug. And they were these like brass sconces with glass globes, silicol. Yeah.
They went all out.
Yeah. And all in a 225 slant six powered plumber's truck that he bought for like $100. And what a time to be in the hobby. But
So Derek, at this point, like we're halfway through 24. Like, are you starting to put together your list, or does that just in December you kind of sit down and figure it all out, or you kind of keep it running?
I kind of keep a running list as the year goes on. It's like, because like, especially for being part of the Lamley group now, we do that kind of the year-end tournament lists and stuff that we do that John puts up on his Instagram stories. It's like we all give input for it, and so I kind of I try to keep a running list throughout the year. It's like, hey, because there's so much that gets released in a single year, it's hard to keep track sometimes. So I've been keeping a track, and the absolute guarantee to make my list is
the Crow.
The Crow T-Bird. T-Bird's T-Bird.
Is that green light?
I absolutely love this car. The second green light previewed it when they showed like the pre-production, like the raw version. I think it was they showed it on the Instagram or wherever it was. I'm like, I need that. I need to freaking hoard the hell out of it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this T-Bird.
I can't wait for I think they've got the advertising series coming out with a more stock looking one. I think it's a 76.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that one. I got so excited because I got so excited when I was finally able to get the Motor Max one of that era of Thunderbird. It's a very rare car to show up on Diecast, but Motor Max, I think it was their Fresh Cherries line, did the
Man,
that line
I
was
missed that series.
Wacky. It was just like, what are you guys thinking? Because that was like 20 years ago. Those cars were not collectible then. It was like, hey, we're going to do a Dodge Diplomat and we're going to do a Aries K car and a Plymouth Horizon. And I mean, they're cool now, but I remember even at
the time it was like, why are these becoming a thing?
Why are you getting the sub $500 cars in Diecast? And they were just ahead of their time.
It was kind of like the Lemons from the Cars movies, wasn't it? It's like
exactly. It was all of those, the Gremlin, the Pacer, but it was, and now they're very expensive because they're quite desirable. But if you're trying to go back and collect them, not very. I mean, we were just talking to the guys from Mid-State Collectors Club, and they're showing off their Hot Wheels cars that are $500 cars and $800 cars, and I'm going, yeah, $20 is kind of a lot. Anyway, that's beside the point. It's all relative.
So, Derek, what's driving your collection now? What keeps you excited about what's coming out in Diecast?
Honestly, a lot of the Redline Club stuff that's going to be coming out has me super excited.
Right?
The Dodge truck you mentioned earlier, the Typhoon that'll be coming out.
It's very cool.
I can't wait to get that truck.
Yep.
The Supra looks awesome with the removable targa roof and plus the opening hood. You got the RX-7 that'll be coming out. The 4-door Lincoln with both the front doors opening normal and the suicide doors.
Yeah.
All 4 opening doors. Yeah.
Yep.
And they got the Mercedes with the 4 doors too coming.
Yeah, 4 normal.
Oh yeah, the Pullman. That's right.
That'll be really nice. That's probably I almost guarantee we won't see that until at least a year from now. But that's very early in the stage. I don't even think they had a 3D print.
Yeah.
Last I knew anyway.
No, they're tearing it up with the RLC Club.
This is another thing. Like you got it's like that's just the Hot Wheels side of it. You got the Greenlight always has like a few things that are kind of up their sleeve, like the California Lowrider series. I absolutely love that line. Like there's a couple mixes coming out that I'm really looking forward to. M2, they got a few things, especially the Grand National. They got a few Mio exclusives that'll be coming out. Looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm still looking for that one. That one is very cool.
I did find the gray one recently. That's the only one. I know there's a white one. I don't know. I haven't seen that. I don't even know.
I haven't seen either. My pegs have been old at our stores for a long time, both on Matchbox and M2s. We're stuck on like a case from last year that just will not go away because nobody's buying it because it's all those little boxy cars, the little super economy cars, and the baggage carrier and the road roller and all the stuff that nobody wants to buy. It finally has gotten to like this critical mass at my store that's just all the peg warmers. It's like, okay.
Yeah,
you want the Mustang SUV? No? Okay. Well, we got 20 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't touch that dial. Diecast Breakdown will be right back after these messages. Diecast Breakdown is produced in partnership with Twice Diecast and Driven Dreams Org on YouTube. Check out their channels in the video description and subscribe for more epic Diecast content.
Hey, this is Larry Wood.
This is Derek from Honest Diecast.
Hey, this is Chad Reed from Round 2.
This is Mike from Gaslands.
The SRT Jovita Show.
This is Champion DJ K.
This is Mad Vision here.
This is Diecast Dude.
And you're watching Diecast Breakdown.
And now, the thrilling conclusion of this week's episode of Diecast Breakdown.
So, Derek, as we talk to you, it's obvious you stay on top of what's coming out. For a new collector watching this, that's watching this because they know you from Instagram or Lamley blogs or whatever. How does a collector stay ahead of the game and see the stuff? Where do you go to find previews of stuff coming out?
From the Hot Wheels side, it's just kind of it's just what Lamley's throwing up on his YouTube, because he's getting all the early previews for the retail Hot Wheels anyway, retail side of stuff. The Redline Club, Brendan and Steve, they're always showing the stuff off on the sneaks. You get in Redline Club, you go to the forums, there's like the discussion, there's a discussion forum, then there's a photos forum. And in the photos forum is a thread where Steve and Brendan throw all their previews in there when they can. They can't always show everything. They can't show everything, but when they can, they'll throw stuff up. It's been a little bit, unfortunately, but I think they're just they're in a little bit of a lull right now. But outside of that, like a lot of the stuff that I've been keeping up on, like with M2, I keeping up on their Instagram site.
Yep.
Or their Instagram profiles. They're showing the mixes like probably a month before they really go to hit retail. Round 2 has a Flickr account that I kind of use to keep up on Auto World and Johnny Lightning when the stuff is coming out. Seems to be there's a lull there too, which I don't know what's going on with Round 2. But
yeah, I noticed that too. There was like nothing on the last drop.
Yeah, maybe everybody's coming back from the conventions and stuff like that. But the point of that question was, if you're watching this and you're like, how do I stay on top of this? Number one, Instagram, don't fight it like I did for a long time, because everybody is there. They're all putting pictures up. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Greenlight, one of the last companies that consistently post on X or Twitter. So I got to mention that. They are always putting pretty cool previews there. But man, Instagram and Chad and his group at Round 2 during their preview picks, their preview vids rather, that is really awesome stuff.
I really like that they do those videos.
Yeah.
It helps keep me on top, because it helps keep me on top of it for the local dealer I go through to get a lot of my stuff. It's like he'll order me, like, if I want a case, like he'll get me like all the Auto World, the normal Auto World releases. He just buys me a case of each one, each A and B. Every case going forward, he gets me those. Giant Lightning Street Freaks, he gets them for me. Then depending on what's coming out, like I just give him a heads up. Hey, if you're getting these, grab me an extra case if you can. And he just throws it on his order, and I pick it up when it comes in. It's the nice thing about having him local in town, because I know a lot of people don't necessarily have that. So it's been a nice little benefit that I got just being where I am.
So what's coming up in Dumas RLC world in the next few months? Anything we need to keep tabs on your social media and look out for?
Just more videos when I get to record them. A lot of it's just trying to keep up. I got piles of stuff I got to go through and open up. It's just getting to it, having time and stuff like that. I got 2 kids running around. One's 8, one's 14. So keeping up with what they got going on outside, it's like,
oh, sure.
I get home, it's 9 o'clock, 9, 10 o'clock at night. It's like, yep, I don't want to do anything.
Right. Yeah.
You got to sleep.
We've all been there for sure.
Just trying to keep up on my video, like the videos I'm throwing up. I have ones where I want to start going through a lot of my camera cases, like kind of reorganizing stuff. Those should be fun, like full series full series rundowns and stuff like that from whenever. Like I did one a little while ago that ran through the entire 2009 Larry's Garage set, going through what I had open, what I needed to open, ran through the entire series, at least what I own of it. There's some cars in there I didn't care about, but like I have one coming up that I'll be doing for the 2010 garage line. I got a bunch of the 2005, 2009 classics that I'm going to go through.
Yep.
Eventually, I'm going to try to like just do random videos, like literally just kind of going through my jammer cases and reorganizing them, just because some of the stuff is just intermixed everywhere.
What I love about those videos, and viewers, you need to go to his YouTube and check out his Crack It Open parties that he has on there, because Derek knows so much about the castings. You'll learn something like I did. You can't watch it for more than 20 seconds without learning something. So appreciate you sharing the information that you do, man.
Yeah. Like I said, a lot of that was just the reason I started doing the videos. Just like part of it's like my own way of kind of keeping track of what I have, instead of like just going through a spreadsheet, making and marking it down. It's like, all right, here's video proof that I actually have it. I'm just kind of rambling, just going through random information I've gained over the last 30 years.
Well, what has been some of the like biggest surprises for you, like when you actually started putting yourself out there and writing articles?
For me personally, it was just kind of some people have like just messaged me. It's like, hey, thanks for the information on this. There's like even been some guys that are like, I guess you would say, have a bigger draw than me personally.
Yeah.
Like Orange Track Diecast. There was an article I did on the Modern Classics 70 Nova from 2008. I did an article on the blue and chrome one, the only time they ever used the casting. I did an article on that, and afterwards he messages me. He's like, now I need to go get these. And that's kind of the biggest thing. It's like bringing into light some like older releases that I've shown. I think that's kind of the thing that like gets me going. It's like just bringing to light things that were forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
I love that, man.
That I love.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was just looking through your articles and I had completely forgotten that that Johnny Lightning had snuck some Death Proof cars into their line. And I didn't even know about the Punisher one. And I saw your article where you showed the Death Proof Nova, the Charger, and the TO from the 2004 Punisher movie. And I was like, oh my gosh, must not go on eBay right now.
Yep. That was, and the Forever 64 line, they hit a lot. They had a lot of Easter egg cars in that Forever 64 line.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I like how Johnny Lightning does it now with the Trivial Pursuit lines, where they do the Tucker from the movie Tucker, and they do the Wayne's World Pacer and the Training Day Monty.
The Training Day Monte Carlo. The second I saw that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's Training Day. And I'm like, I have to have this one. I love that movie.
I just love movie cars, and just because there's, it's funny because we've had Fireball Tim Lawrence on, and he's made a couple of movie cars, and I just love the concept of creating something that becomes iconic, that you see this car and you immediately think of that movie, like the Wayne's World Pacer, or the Bluesmobile, or the Ecto one. And there's just like this,
like maybe to a lesser extent, this T-Bird. Like
the T-Bird,
And I saw how it was done. I just saw how they had done it. I'm like, that's from The Crow. Before I even read, immediately, like it just brought that movie right to the forefront of my mind. I'm like, before I even read anything in the description of what they had written.
Well, Greenlight's line
I have to have it.
Greenlight's line cracks me up, because they'll take totally random cars from a series, like their Starsky and Hutch. They'll be like, this car was in one episode, maybe the bad guy drove it, or they'll pick a random car from an A-Team episode or a MacGyver episode. I guess that was there. I can't remember which episode it was in, but it is cool. Yes, there was a taxi cab in the Dukes of Hazzard at some point. Sure, why not?
It's like the Fast and Furious line in Hot Wheels right now. There's so many random cars that they do.
This was
when they put the Land Cruiser in there, that was in like one scene for like half a second.
Yep. It's like some people, but that's the thing that gets me. It's like a lot of people are like, why are you doing that? And I'm like, taking it out of the package, it's just a car culture car or a Boulevard line.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about doing those random. That's what I love about it. It's just more excuse to have more like random premium cars.
Exactly.
Like they don't have to be tied to Fast and Furious to be cool.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, and there were a lot of cool and varied cars in those series. So if it's an excuse to, the Land Cruiser was a very, very cool casting. So I'm glad they made it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a bunch of cars that you can tell the main reason they made it was because it was going to be a Fast and Furious car, but then you get it as something else in a Boulevard series or one of the other lineups, and it's just like, yeah, I'm glad they did that.
So, guys, we've talked about a lot of things that are being done right in the diecast hobby right now. Dumas, what kind of concerns you as somebody that really appreciates the history of the hobby and all the work that's been done to get us to this point here? Is there stuff that kind of like doesn't sit well with you in terms of where our hobby is going?
Well, as from a Redline Club standpoint, seemingly the death of the neoclassic wheel. Like, there's been very few releases like that are being done to hit that nostalgia side of it. And in one aspect, I kind of get it, because I know they are slower sellers in the grand scheme of things. They don't do as well, but I don't want them to be lost to time. If that makes sense. That's what made the RLC really cool to me when I first joined up 15 years ago, or almost 15 years ago. Not that I'm saying that what they're doing now is bad. Like, there's been a lot of movies have been
don't throw away.
Awesome, but don't forget where it came from. Is kind of my big thing.
What was the last one? Was it the Stingray Corvette, or is there a 510 maybe?
Can't remember. With neoclassics.
Yeah.
I honestly can't remember. It might have been the Fleet side, which was technically a convention car. That's how long it's been.
Yeah, you made your point.
The last one is.
All right. Anything else?
In a way, I kind of wonder how big is the bubble going to get before it bursts. Essentially, like, not that I'm not saying I want it to. I'm not saying it will, but it just there's ebbs and flows in everything. This has been in a big rise at a big ebb since
it's getting
for a while. There's going to be a drop. Like, it's one of those things that's like in the back of my head. There's going to be a drop, and I don't know what's going to happen and how bad it's going to hit a lot of these, especially a lot of the newer brands that are coming out that are trying to do a lot of the newer, like the super detailed stuff versus the more toy side of it. And I'm not saying I want it to happen. I just worry that it's going to, and when it will.
I gotta wonder if you're going to be able to just print your own models at home so efficiently, and everybody coming up is going to know how to design them in a 3D platform. And
it's so easy, even I can do it. It's
for some kid that grew up on an iPad at age 2, he can.
Yeah,
he's been on Shapeways for 8 years already, printing his own stuff.
Yeah, it's
especially if they get to a point where like 3D printing at home that's not using plastic, using something a little more.
That's what I'm thinking. We're going to get there.
There is 3D printers that do metal. It's just cost prohibitive right now, like the old plastic ones used to be. It's funny, like Tony Young from Bright Vision was just on. He showed us one of the 3D printed beach bums that he did in the late 90s, and I was like, that wasn't a thing in the late 90s, but apparently it was if you had the right amount of money.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I know what you mean about the bubble, because we had somebody on and they brought it up and I totally missed it, even though I've experienced the benefits of this. But they talked about the NASCAR diecast bubble burst, because for a long time, NASCAR diecast in 164 and 124 and 118 was just like everywhere. It was a huge thing. And now I'll go into a local used toy shop or vintage toy shop, and I go to the dollar bin, and there are a whole bunch of those, with the rubber tires, 164 scale NASCAR for $1 each.
Yeah, the old Winner's Circle and Racing Champions.
Nobody cares. And I always grab them because, hey, it's free reel, it's almost free reel riders. It's $1 and you just drill them out and you can make custom with them. But it's just like, wow, like the sports card thing when it burst, but then it came back because of crypto of all things. So I don't know. I think some of it's going to ebb and flow. And then there's other stuff where it's just like the actual muscle car market, where the red lines are just out of control, and the muscle car market itself is out of control with the big cars. because that group is rapidly aging and getting more and more nostalgic with every passing moment. And but I think that also kind of goes with the movie thing too, because all of those cars in some way are of course like the '69 Chargers in so many movies, or people think of Camaros or think of whatever, and they think of their favorite one that they saw on TV. And
or even like just as just another example, like from the Fast and Furious, like the Hot Wheels did that four-door Integra last year.
Yeah.
20 years ago, no one would have thought to make that.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
But now they did, and I actually really like that Integra casting.
It is nice.
That four-door. It is. I think it's really nice. It'll be nice to see one that's not done as Mia's livery car, but
yeah.
Like that's like one of those things. It's like it's just the way I see it, it's just a shift in who's the primary focus in collecting now.
Well, I mean, Auto World doing the caravans, for crying out loud, and the fact that we were all so excited about that.
I couldn't believe that.
And hey,
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and Christian, who is one of our patrons, First 64th Customs, he literally just before I started recording this sent me pictures of Tamika's new car, and it is an 80s Chevy Astro. Going,
yes, I saw that.
Oh yeah, I'm all over that.
Our Lamley Writers chat group.
Yeah.
One of the guys showed that. I'm like, okay, I kind of want to get that.
You have to. Absolutely.
Well, what is it like? You've got a chat group. Like, what is kind of the relationship like with the other writers in the Lamley group?
Oh, it's really cool. Like, we're all really cool with each other. It's like just having the different personalities. They're always giving me a hard time for being a big Neoclassics fan and a Zingers fan, because I'm the only one among us that really really likes either of those two.
There's got to be one.
So they're always giving me a hard time on it. But I mean, we give it back and forth between for different things that everyone else likes too. So it's a fun group to be a part of.
Well, before we wrap things up, was there anything? I know you had gotten some cars out. Are there any cars in particular that you really like that you'd like to talk about real quick?
Just a few things I want to show, just because
let's do some show and tell. I love this part of the show. We need to do it more often.
Like the things that get me, like there's a lot of people out there, like they get super excited over Super Treasure Hunter. They get super excited over certain Redline Club cars. Just like when they see a candy striper, they think it's the coolest thing in the world. Now, granted, I think it is awesome. Don't get me wrong. But the things that like really like get me excited when it comes to the hobby are the things that don't really pop up or people don't necessarily think don't realize exist. One right here. I don't know how well that'll show up. I know it's mirrored. I don't know if this Legendary Pictures Supervan.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
A lot of people won't know that this exists because it was actually a giveaway vehicle at San Diego Comic-Con.
Huh.
It wasn't one that you could buy. I think you had to be part of something with Legendary Pictures in their showcase there, and that's how you got this. Plus, there was a lanyard that came with it too.
Good
so they did
night.
this one year. These things they pop up every once in a while. They aren't like a big. It's not like a big money bringer. At least not that last I saw it, because I've had this for 8 years now, so I'm not really looking at see what they really go for anymore. But I know they don't pop up that often. A lot of people sometimes don't even really know it exists.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Are those
like things like this?
Are those FTE wheels on that?
Yeah, OH5s, just in gold.
Yeah, okay.
It's like it's just a basic vehicle. It's like actually, if you look at the deco, if you know your stuff, Steve Vandervee, he used the livery however you want to call it, from the 2011 Hot Ones Supervan.
They just added the
Legendary that as the
Pictures
basis to redo this one for Legendary Pictures.
There you go.
And then 2 years later, they did this one.
Oh yeah,
the 71 El Camino, the custom one that, because I want to say Legendary Pictures worked with Hot Wheels when they did all those Hot Wheels Task Force videos.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they were the ones that worked with Mattel to do all those. And this is actually has a lot more. It doesn't show up on the camera, unfortunately, that well, but it's got like a lot more details to it compared to what the mainline one was. And this is another giveaway at San Diego Comic-Con for part of their showcase. So like the things like this, these random items like these that don't pop up, no one really thinks about. These are the pieces that really like I get excited for.
Yeah, that's super cool. And don't sleep on that van. That's a triple digit. There's only one on eBay right now. I just looked real quick. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like I remember when I got these too. I had I was trying to save up for money for a 2009 Cop Rods. It was a 67 Charger, which is a stupid rare car right now. I can't remember how much it was I had saved up. The guy still wanted a little more. I'm like, we're not meeting anywhere here on it. So that deal fell through, but then I popped up these two popped up on eBay. I'm like, all right, I have it, buy it.
Yeah.
And then
that's the thing in our hobby, man. If you see something you like and you've got the money, you better grab it. It will not be there tomorrow.
Believe me, there are plenty of regrets I have for things that I passed up on over the years.
One of the ones that I've always wanted to get was the Treasure Hunt Dodge Charger that was the not General Lee with the 06 on the side. And when I got back into the hobby, it was on eBay for $40, and I was like, "Meh, I'll
no way. I'll never pay that much."
Nope. And now it's $100. So
yeah.
I
mean, they get more story time. There's few regrets I have with Redline Club, the cars that I didn't buy, the blue Texas Drive 'em, especially when that was ready to, because like at the time back in 2012, there was at the time like when they had a lot of delays in the production, so things like you might buy it, but it's not going to ship for like months out, and that was the problem with most of the cars that time. That one ended up I ended up passing on that because I just, due to stuff that was going on, I'm like, I can't justify waiting on this. Yeah, I got it now. I can't guarantee my card's going to be good a couple months from now. Yeah. It ended up being one that was available, like ready to ship right away instead of shipping like 2 weeks later. I'm like, dang it.
Right.
I had a chance, like that was when you could buy two on sale day, back when there was only 9,000 members and 4,000 cars. It's like that one I didn't buy. I remember, and it was kind of the same reason, just financial reasons. I didn't buy the Selections Mighty Maverick from that same year. I really regret that one. And the original 16 Beatnik Bandit, same deal. Just because that was made to order, and like it just over time I just came to regret it. And especially now when I see the Maverick go for, I'm like,
right.
Yeah. Well, as we're wrapping things up, do you have any final advice that you'd like to give for collectors out there that want to know some little inside scoop or hint on how to collect diecast better?
Biggest thing I'm going to say, and I know a lot of people will say it, just go for what you like. Don't worry about later value. Don't worry about initial event, like what can I flip this for now, or what can I flip it for in a year. Focus on what makes you happy when it's sitting on the table, you're looking at it. If it brings you joy when it's sitting there, awesome. Don't focus on the secondary value. It's like I was saying, like we were kind of talking about earlier, like at some point this bubble might burst. If that happens, value goes out the window.
Yeah.
And
now you got a bunch of cars you don't like.
Strictly on value, then you're just sitting on a bunch of stuff that you don't actually care about.
Yep.
Collect what you actually care about. And don't worry about anything else.
Wise words.
All right. Well, very cool. Well, Derek, a.k.a. Dumas RLC, thank you again so much for being on. For those who were sleeping through this episode, let's remind them again how they can find you, follow you, all that good stuff.
Just Dumas RLC on Instagram and YouTube as well. I try to upload a couple videos a week. I'm running out. I need to film more. but yeah, I try to do that. And then on the Lamley blog, I gotta sit down and write more. I did one a little while ago about my idea for a pop culture mix using the band Fu Manchu and their album covers. So, and
yes,
just it was like a random idea I thought of, and it was just an excuse to take some pictures.
No, that was a cool article. I dug that article. I didn't realize that was you until we started the interview, and I remember reading that article and going, oh, this is really clever. I like how you did the mock-up.
That was definitely me.
Yep.
And that was definitely, and like, that was like one of those, it's like, because like everyone, like the Lamley group, the chat group, they all know I'm a big metal guy and like that, and they're all giving me stuff. They're all breaking my back over it and all that.
You gotta have a sense of humor in this hobby. You really do.
Oh yeah. And like, biggest thing, don't stress it. If you can't find something, don't stress it. Like,
yeah, exactly. It'll come around. That was eventually the big thing that I learned was you don't have to buy it online if it's just come out, especially if it's a mainline. When I first got started back into collecting and a mainline would come out, I'd buy it for like $5 or $6, and later and of course I'd find it the next day in the stores. So I was like, why did I do that? Unless you're buying the stuff that David buys, where it's got to be ordered off AliExpress or something like that. If it's something that can be found on the pegs or in the wild, I've decided I'll let those cars come to me. And eventually they turn up. Even when you think, oh, well, that car came out months ago, it's not going to turn up. And then somebody gets an old box of green lights for some reason. Mm-hmm. Oh, there it is. So, yeah, just
funny thing.
Let the cars come to you. Because otherwise, it's super easy to ring up a huge eBay or Diecast Direct tab because you're just going, oh, well, it's just one more car.
It's very easy to rack up a debt in this hobby. So
absolutely.
That's another thing. Just
make sure you can afford rent.
Means. Yes.
Yeah.
Rent comes first. That always.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, Derek, again, a delight to have you on. Thank you for joining us. And thank you to the watchers, listeners, wherever you are. If you're listening to us on the audio version and you're going, what the heck are they talking about? I can't see. Go over to YouTube. You can see us on the YouTube side. And if you're on YouTube and you're getting tired of staring at my face, you can go over to the audio side and just listen to my voice instead of having to look me in the eye. And again, I want to thank our patrons that make the show go. You can join their ranks over at diecastbreakdown.com and check out our sweet merch store over there. And of course, we're much more than just a podcast. You can click around on our YouTube channel and we've got reviews, we got build videos, we've got shorts, we've got pants too, but we love our shorts here on YouTube and lots of cool stuff to check out. All right, I'm getting tired. I'm bringing out the dad jokes. Yeah. So we're going to wrap things up here. So while I'm babbling, click the like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. If the episodes are good for you, share them around. That's the best way to help this channel grow is sharing the love and saying, hey, these guys are talking about something interesting with some cool people like this Derek guy. So check it out. And again, shout out to Mark, our host in absentia. We miss you, buddy. We're so glad that we were able to chat. We're looking forward to having you on again real soon. And as always, we want to thank the rest of you for coming along with us for the ride. So until next time, stay fresh, cheese bags.
Thanks for listening to Diecast Breakdown. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and tell a friend to listen in. Find Diecast Breakdown on your favorite social media platforms or visit diecastmedianetwork.com to learn more about this and our other projects. Diecast Breakdown is a presentation of Flying Valiant and the Diecast Media Network.